Good morning. I would like to welcome you all to the 11th session of the Assembly of the International Renewable Energy Agency. I'm Bashir Ismail Widrago, Minister of Energy of Burkina Faso and Vice President of the 10th Assembly. I would like to inform the Assembly that due to unforeseen circumstances, I have been invited by His Excellency, Mr. Ruakana Rukunda, Prime Minister of Uganda, to preside on his behalf. On item 1 of the provisional agenda of this session, I declare open the 11th session of the Assembly of IRENA. Let me at the outset inform the Assembly that His Excellency, Mr. Ali Kuranda, former second Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda and President of the 10th session of the Assembly, recently passed away. In his honor, I would like to invite you to join me in a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you. If you please allow me, I would now like to share the opening remark on the behalf of the Presidency. I wish to express my solidarity with all members and participants during these difficult times. Indeed, the devastation caused by the pandemic has hit particularly close to home. At the outset, I wish to express that His Excellency, Mr. Kivejina, was inspired by the discussion and outcome of the 10th Assembly, and I'm sure that he would have been equally pleased with the collective progress that we make over the course of this session and beyond. As we gather today, we do so not only in pursuit of our aim to accelerate the development and deployment of renewable energy, but also in recognition of the important platform and work that IRENA provides in guiding us toward the realization of these aims. I wish to express my warm thanks to the Director General and his team for facilitating these discussions and supporting members in the energy transition. At the last Assembly, we concluded by reaffirming the centrality of renewable energy in the transformation of the global energy system, and that IRENA is an indispensable institution in this regard. As renewable energy continues to become the clear and clean solution to the challenges of the pandemic at multiple levels, the work of IRENA has become more important than ever and must have the full support of the membership. I'm pleased to note that this session of the Assembly places strong emphasis on achieving the energy transition in the context of COVID-19. This, in my opinion, is the need of the hour. We must collectively address our challenges and needs and develop solutions for achieving a green, inclusive, resilient, and prosperous recovery. In this regard, I wish to thank and congratulate IRENA for its timely report on post-COVID recovery, an agenda for resilience, development, and equality, which has been indispensable for our work. I'm sure that many members and shareholders also continue to benefit from the practical insight provided as we strategize our key priority and implement our recovery package. Of course, the work of IRENA can only be truly effective if members use it to inform and mobilize their energy transitions, and I am pleased to note that outstanding engagement of members and their prioritization of action toward achieving a green recovery. As we proceed, With our discussion over the next few days, I believe that we are well placed to confront these defining challenges of our time and come out with a greater affirmation of the centrality of renewable in creating a world that current and future generation deserves. One that is green, inclusive, resilient, and prosperous. Thank you. Before proceeding, I would like to inform you that in the interest of enhancing transparency and inclusiveness, the open plenary and ministerial meetings of the Assembly will be live streamed on the IRENA website. On Thursday, 21st of January, part of the day will be closed to take up proceedings of the Assembly of an administrative and institutional nature. I take it then that the Assembly approved this arrangement. Thank you for your agreement. I now invite the Assembly to turn to item 2 of the provisional agenda, organization of work. We'll take up item 2A, election of officials. According to the rules of procedures, the Assembly shall designate a president and 4 vice presidents at the end of each session, who will then formally be elected at the next session of the Assembly. The Assembly will recall that at the end of its 10th session in January last year, member designated by acclamation, Spain has a president of the 11th session of the Assembly. The rule further provides that at the beginning of each session, members shall confirm the designation made at the previous session and so formally elect the president. At this Assembly session, Spain is represented by His Excellency, Mrs. Teresa Ribera, Deputy Prime Minister of the Government of Spain and Minister for the Ecological Transition and Demographic Challenge. Do I take it that the Assembly wish to elect Spain as President of the 11th session of the Assembly? I hear no objection. It is so decided. It was my pleasure and honor to declare Spain, represented by His Excellency, Mrs. Teresa Ribera, President of the 11th session of the Assembly. Let me now hand over to the President of the 11th Assembly. Please, Madam President, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Bashir Ismail Ouedraogo, for your kind words. I also would like to thank the leadership of Uganda during the past year. Let me at the outset extend, through Your Excellency, my deepest condolence to Honorable Ali Kirunda Kivenja's family and thanking him for his work as President of the 10th session of the Assembly. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to carry on this task of presiding over this very important body in my capacity as President of the 11th Assembly of IRENA. I now wish to invite the Assembly to turn to the election of the Vice Presidents of the 11th session of the Assembly, who will form the Bureau and support me during our deliberations. At the end of its 10th session, the Assembly designated Albania, Costa Rica, Ghana, and India as Vice Presidents of the 11th session of the Assembly. Do I take that the Assembly wishes to elect these members as Vice Presidents of this Assembly session? I hear no objection, so it is decided. Therefore, it is my pleasure to declare Albania, represented by His Excellency Mr. Gergui Simaku, Deputy Minister of Energy. Costa Rica, represented by His Excellency Mr. Rolando Castro, Deputy Minister of Energy and Environment. India, represented by His Excellency Mr. Raghu Kumar Singh, Minister of New and Renewable Energy. and Ghana, represented by His Excellency Mr. John Peter Amewo, Minister of Energy, all of them being Vice Presidents of the 11th session of this Assembly. I have asked for their support in presiding over certain sessions of this Assembly and to act on behalf of the Presidency as needed. I'm looking forward to working closely with the Vice Presidents in conducting the business of this session. Thank you so much. Now, I turn to the appointment of the rapporteur. Rule 31 of the Rules of Procedure of the Assembly requires that the President proposes to a member of the Assembly to act as rapporteur. And I would like to inform you that I have proposed to Nigeria to act as rapporteur for this session, and I'm pleased that Nigeria has accepted this very important responsibility. Do I take the Assembly concurs with my proposal? I hear no objections. It is so decided. It is then my pleasure to declare Nigeria rapporteur of the 11th session of the Assembly. I would like to thank the rapporteur for accepting this position, and I am looking forward to working with Nigeria in finalizing the summary report of our session. We would like to thank you all for the trust placed upon us in guiding the deliberations of the 11th session of the Assembly. I'm looking forward to our collaboration to ensure a successful outcome of this meeting and working with the Director General, Mr. Francesco La Camara, and his team in this very important point in time. This concludes our consideration of agenda item 2A. I now invite the Assembly to take up agenda item 2B of the provisional agenda, adoption of the agenda. The provisional agenda of the session is contained in document A/11/L1. The provisional agenda for the coming days contains a number of programmatic, policy, and institutional discussions which are of direct relevance to the ongoing work of the agency and for its work program. Do I take that the Assembly wishes to adopt the provisional agenda as contained in document A/11/L1? I hear no objection, so it is decided. And this concludes our consideration of agenda item 2B. I now invite the Assembly to take up agenda item 2C, appointment of the Credentials Committee. In accordance with Rule 25 of the Rules of Procedure of the Assembly, a Credentials Committee shall be appointed at the beginning of each session. It shall consist of 9 members who are appointed by the Assembly on the proposal of the President. Following the expressions of interest received by 12th of January 2021, I have consulted with members and I propose to the Assembly to appoint the following members of the Credentials Committee: Bangladesh, Belgium, Botswana, Burkina Faso, Canada, Greece, Maldives, Turkey, and United Arab Emirates. Do I take that the Assembly concurs with my proposal? I hear no objection. It is so decided. On behalf of the Assembly, I would like to thank the members of the Credentials Committee for making themselves available for this important task. The committee will convene for a meeting on Tuesday, 19th January. We shall revert to the matter under agenda item 13A to consider the report of the Credentials Committee. And this concludes our consideration of agenda item 2C. I now invite the Assembly to take up agenda item 2D, participation of observers. The list of states and entities that have completed the formalities of their applications for observer status at this 11th session of the Assembly is contained in document A/11/L2. Do I take it that the Assembly wishes to grant observer status for the 11th session of the Assembly to those states and entities contained in document A/11/L2? I hear no objection. It is so decided. This concludes our consideration of agenda item 2D. Now, I invite the Assembly to turn to agenda item 3. Under this agenda item, I would now like to take this opportunity to address the Assembly, and then we will hear welcoming remarks from the United Nations Secretary General, the Minister of Climate Change and Environment of the United Arab Emirates, and the Director General of IRENA. Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Director General, Mr. Francesco La Camera. I would like to express that I am truly honored to preside this 11th Assembly of IRENA. It has been over 10 years, back in 2009, 2010, that as Secretary of State, I had the big honor to preside the last of the preparatory meetings for the creation of IRENA in Madrid. A few months later, we co-presided with our dear colleagues Sigmar Gabriel and Connie Hedegaard IRENA's constitutive meeting in Bonn. Spain has kept a steady commitment with IRENA, and I have personally had the privilege to engage at different levels along these last years, including serving as a member of the advisory panel on the geopolitics of renewable energy, a legacy from our very dear friend Adnan Amin. I had to resign from this panel as I took office in 2018. It is a real pleasure to be back in this presidency capacity and work closely again with so many old friends and such a great team. We are holding this 11th Assembly session at a critical point in time, as countries all over the world continue to grapple with the unprecedented and widespread impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, while charting their multiple economic, social, and environmental measures with a great impact on our co-citizens all over the world. I would like to wholeheartedly express solidarity with all members. I know how difficult it is these times. I would also like to express appreciation for the agency and its members in adapting the situation and ensuring that the governing bodies and their committees are able to continue their very important work with minimal disruption. Not only we have accepted and adapted to the situation, we have also shown a remarkable level of engagement across various platforms and topics. This presents a clear signal not only of the priority of our members in achieving a green recovery, an inclusive recovery, access to modern forms of energy to all, but also insisting on the crucial role of renewable energy in overcoming the challenges of our time. The COVID-19 pandemic has allowed us to recognize the vulnerabilities in our current systems of prosperity and has propelled the need to adequately confront these challenges, increasing welfare and strengthening resilience across societies all over the world. It has allowed us to clearly visualize the linkage between our sustainable development and climate imperatives, as well as the concrete change that these objectives brings to our countries, regions, and the global community at large. It has put the energy transition at the heart of our efforts to build a better world through the 2030 Agenda on Sustainable Development, the Paris Agreement, and the upcoming UN High-Level Dialogue on Energy, amongst other global, regional, and national initiatives. The pandemic has brought us to a turning point in raising ambition and meeting our development and climate objectives. Prosperity all over the world is a must. Inclusiveness, paying attention to fairness and balance realizations in our countries. It has allowed us to witness the resilience and viability of renewables in comparison to other sources of energy. Today, 18 January 2021, it has been designated the World Energy Transition Day in recognition of this turning point. It has brought together IRENA's near universal membership, as well as a key public, multilateral, and private partners to join hands in recognition of how far renewables have come in recent years, and chart the path towards a sustainable, resilient, inclusive, and just future for each and every one of us. Today, we are at the perfect moment, in the perfect gathering, to discuss our plans, endeavors, actions, and commitments towards a green recovery based on cooperation, based on justice and solidarity. IRENA's support to countries over the years has made it to lead the energy transition, and we are able to tap into the agency's keen understanding of the technical, policy, and structural requirements for the accelerated development and deployment of renewable energy solutions. We are also able to learn from each other and understand the needs, challenges, solutions, and best practice from our strong and diverse membership, as well as from key stakeholders who are working in tandem with our aims. As we start the new year, let us make the best use of this important platform to set clear objectives, take decisive actions, and seize the opportunities that renewable energy brings to our societies, economies, countries, and regions. Let us learn to turn our challenges into opportunities, commit to the energy transition, and invest in our collective future. Let us create a better world for current and future generations, one that is sustainable, resilient, inclusive, and just, one that we can be proud of initiating and ensures that we are all in the same boat and going towards the right direction. Thank you. It is now with great pleasure that I invite the United Nations Secretary General, His Excellency, Mr. Antonio Guterres, for his welcoming remarks. Please, dear colleagues, we are waiting for his words.
I am pleased to lead the 11th IRENA Assembly. The new year brings hope that we can tackle the COVID-19 crisis through vaccination. But we must also deal with another crisis, the climate emergency. The trillions of dollars needed for recovery from the pandemic must be simultaneously used to move our economies towards net zero emissions. We must build a global coalition to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. And renewable technologies are the first choice for decarbonization strategies. They make economic sense and create jobs. We need to ensure universal sustainable energy access by 2030. This is the objective of Sustainable Development Goal 7. Today, we are falling short. For this reason, I'm convening a high-level dialogue on energy in September in New York. We count on IRENA's analytical capacity and global reach to help accelerate just energy transitions around the world. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank the Secretary General for these remarks. And now I would like to invite His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Mohammed bin Khalid Al Nuaimi, Minister of Climate Change and Environment of the United Arab Emirates, to deliver the statement of the host country. You have the floor, Excellency. No se le oye.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسعدني أن أرحب بكم.
Peace be upon you all. I would like to welcome you to the 11th session of IRENA Assembly. I would like to convey my sincere congratulations to Madame Ribera, Deputy Prime Minister of Spain, for presiding over the present session, wishing Her Excellency the best of luck. I would like as well to thank His Excellency Mr. Francesco La Camera, IRENA Director General, and the agency staff for their continued efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, 2020 has dealt a harsh lesson to all societies through the COVID-19 pandemic. That lesson proved that crises and emergency challenges have no boundaries in affecting all countries, economies, and societies. Their negative impacts influenced everyone without exception. In addition to the ability to mitigate the impact and to achieve recovery, this depends on the speed of applying the required measures on a large scale and the readiness in order to ensure a better future for the current and next generations. We have to apply what we have learned from the coronavirus outbreak to our efforts to face all challenges especially climate change, the existential threat to the planet. We must all fulfill our pledges in addressing this challenge. And we need to intensify our efforts to reduce its severity and strengthen our ability to adapt to its consequences, driving the global movement towards energy transition. Ladies and gentlemen, during the 11 years of its existence, we are all proud of the effective role IRENA has played in driving and stimulating the energy transition. Headquartered in the capital Abu Dhabi, the agency IRENA has seen exceptional growth in the membership, which surged from 85 to 163. In addition to 21 countries in the process of accession. Furthermore, its global influence has increased, as has its contribution to the growth of the renewable energy market. The global renewable energy capacity doubled from 1.36 gigawatt to over 2,537 gigawatt, according to IRENA's 2019 statistical report. Ladies and gentlemen, along this successful journey, we are proud in the United Arab Emirates, and under our voluntary commitment to working for human well-being, the UAE has achieved a lot in renewable energy at the local level, as its production capacity has increased from 10 megawatt in 2009 to 2,400 megawatt today, with an additional 6,000 megawatt either under development or planned until 2030. At the international level, with the aim of supporting the deployment and use of clean and renewable energy solutions, and through a partnership between IRENA and Abu Dhabi Fund for Development and Masdar, multiple projects have been implemented in the Caribbean and Pacific Island states with a financing value of $450 million. The UAE reaffirms its voluntary commitment to working for the environment and the climate. Last month, it announced its second nationally determined contributions, including an important plan to reduce the carbon footprint of the energy sector and develop the region's first commercial carbon capture network and storage and utilization program, enhancing carbon neutrality and increasing the share of clean energy to reach a production capacity of 14 gigawatt by 2030 and 50% of the total domestic energy mix by 2050. Work is also underway to develop hydrogen-based energy solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have a significant amount of work to do to reach the desired level of renewable energy that can help effectively address the challenge of climate change and ensure a better future for the current and next generations. In conclusion, I would like to commend IRENA's exceptional success achieved in cooperation with its member states. We look forward to more impactful accomplishments for the benefit and prosperity of all mankind. Thank you for your attention. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all.
His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Mohammed Bil Khalifa Al Nuaimi. Thank you so much for your very inspiring remarks. It gives me great pleasure now to invite the Director General of IRENA, Mr. Francesco La Camera, to provide some welcoming remarks to the Assembly. You have the floor, Director General.
Welcome you all to this 11th session of the Assembly. Let me congratulate my friend, Her Excellencies, Mrs. Teresa Ribera, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for the Ecological Transition and Demographic Challenge of Spain for her election as President, and Albania, Costa Rica, Ghana, and India as Vice President of the 11th Assembly. Let me also join and extend my condolences to Honorable Eli Kirunda Kivenia families and thanking him for his leadership as President of the 10th session of the Assembly. I cannot forget that we just seated together just 1 year ago. I am also delighted that IRENA Global Family continues to grow. Since we last met in January 2020, Austria and Dominica joined the agency, bringing the number to 163 members, as has been just recalled. There are 21 states in accession, and we look forward to welcoming them to IRENA. I regret that the present circumstances don't allow us to meet in person in our host city of Abu Dhabi, but I'm heartened that more than 90 ministers and high-level officials and around 800 participants representing 133 countries and the European Union join us virtually over the coming 3 days, and that several sessions will be streamed. I am also pleased that we have with almost 1,300 participants representing institutions from the public and private sector, civil society and academia, as well as media representatives. We are all turning this difficult situation into an opportunity to reach audiences in all corners of the world. The Assembly is starting with the World Energy Transition Day. While members place energy transition at the center of IRENA's medium-term strategy in 2018 already, this mission carries a particular importance today. 2020 made it crystal clear that we cannot longer continue with business as usual if you are to live in a world that is safe, resilient, and prosperous for all. This is true for all nations and all segments of the global economy. And energy transition will play a vital role in our common ability to overcome the health crisis and lead the path to the deeper climate crisis. The IRENA Assembly is the first global intergovernmental meeting in 2021. This deliberation in the coming days will set the tone for the coming year. Your insight, thoughts, and experiences will not only provide the agency with the agenda for the coming year, but they will also convey to the audiences around the world that transforming the global energy system will lead us to a resilience, equity, and prosperity. I look forward to working with you in the coming days and the year ahead. I thank you, Madam President. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Director General, for your kind words and for the efforts that you and your whole team have been pursuing along the year in order to facilitate, improve, and strengthen the options for a green energy renewable solutions, ensuring prosperity to all. Good luck.